Okay, we're going to do a little prognostication today. It's going to get messy. I think I'm going to try this a few times and we'll see how it goes. I don't think that there's really a sure thing when it comes to predicting congressional races. It's a lot easier, by the way. I do think that I do have the ability to predict a lot of events that have happened in terms of electoral politics because some of them are kind of obvious. So I don't exactly call it a crystal ball ability. There's a lot of these people who they claim, oh, I'm such a genius. I know how to call these races or whatever. When I predicted in 2016 that, first of all, I predicted that Brexit would happen. Okay, then I didn't go and I decide there are certain races I'm not going to really wade into. I don't think the majority of my channel is dedicated to that type of thing. But after Brexit, I predicted that Italy would be the next country that would embark on an anti-European Union path, and it's well on the way there. And by the way, I did predict that they would just bust through the pro-EU center left to far left government of I think his name was Matteo Renzi. It doesn't matter anymore because his career is over. So some of those elections over in Europe are much easier to predict than here in the USA. But we're going to have to start analyzing some of these because, it's going to be interesting. So I think the first video today will be about some of the more vulnerable House districts for the Republican Party. So these are seats that are judged at the moment to be likely to flip to the Democrats. So you have this one, Michigan's 11th district. So you can see it's kind of situated north of the Detroit metro area, and you can see let's see some of the history here. So you see these are the communities there: Auburn Hills, Bloomfield Hills. So this is kind of suburban Detroit, and historically this place has voted. This area has voted for the Republicans, except for 2008 and 1996, when Clinton barely covered it. So yeah, that just kind of shows you that this is a district that could be kind of an embarrassing loss for the Trumpster. As for the races in the district, you have to go to the actual page of the candidate. So this was David Trott, who served for, let me see, just 2 terms. And he won by a comfortable majority, 53-40 that year, with two third-party opponents. So I think that in this case, this guy's retiring. Let's see who's going to be replacing him on the ticket. Like I said, this could get messy. I think it's not very easy to just know every single district in the country. There are some people who are well known for that because, of course, especially, I mean, who would know better than some lobbyists? So if you're a lobbyist out there, you might be looking at this whole prognostication and saying, well, what the hell does this guy know? So I don't know what to say here. So the guy who's going to be running this year, or I should say the lady, it's a lady, is Lena Epstein, and she actually does have some support, and actually a little more voting support than the Democrat. But this is in a district that's traditionally a little more Republican. So I wouldn't be too encouraged by the results there. I would say that some of the best ways to really gauge interest in the race is the turnout of the primary. And if you look at this, the Democrats did have some fairly decent turnout. So yeah, I could understand that this would be a vulnerable district. Let's go to New Jersey's second congressional district. You know, New Jersey, by the way, the America's dump. I'll say that. I don't care. Is basically they have a Republican representing the southern part of the state. So that's the Philadelphia. Well, I think the Philadelphia area might be ensconced over here. Yeah. So this is like the lower part of the state that people swim across the Delaware Bay to reach civilization. So so and yeah, I'm gonna talk shit about Jersey all day here, but this district is traditionally more Democratic. If they voted for Trump in 2016, the only other time they voted Democrat in the recent history was in 2004. Let's see if there's a little more information. There's Frank Lobiondo, who had been representing the district since it says here 1992. No, 1994. So this guy was part of the Republican Revolution of the 90s, and he was basically owning the place up until this year, but he's gone. So I guess let's see who he's going to be replaced with. Now, we can't know exactly, we might have to revisit some of these races later to see exactly what's going on. But, sometimes you can gauge just from the voting turnout how these are going to turn out. Or at least how enthusiastic people are. So in this election, you have Seth Grossman. Isn't that Tom Cruise's character from Tropic Thunder? Or is that no? It's Les Grossman. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? At the end, he's basically dancing like a moron. So yeah, you can see that there is a little more enthusiasm on the Democratic side in the primary. So of course I think that's one of the reasons. Yes, there is a lot of enthusiasm that you can see on the Democratic side, and yes, the polling is part of it. But I would say that another big issue is just how these candidates are able to go knock on doors and get people to come out and vote for them. So this was, I guess I didn't see this before, the National Republican Congressional Committee withdrew its support of Seth Grossman after Media Matters reported Grossman had shared an article from VDare, a website associated with white nationalist writings, and an opinion piece that said black people were a threat to all who crossed their paths. Grossman said in a statement that he did not agree with the opinion piece, adding, "I am running for Congress so I can help Trump do even more to take the Democratic training wheels off the black and Hispanic communities so they can succeed even more." So yeah, this might be one that the Republicans will concede, because I guess this Seth Grossman probably got the stink eye from the national Republicans. So he might be on his own, and that could be. Now, I will say, when you're trying to defend a House majority, it's very, very different. It's very difficult for you to just concede races. It says Grossman defended himself on Facebook, posting Bubba, grandma. Oh, it probably means Bubby, which means grandma in I think Russian and Yiddish. Would say only in America. Who else can the grandson of Jewish immigrants from Russia be a quote Nazi or white supremacist for sharing a post from a black guy, Alan West, anti-gay while praising? So I think this guy is a little more of a alternative candidate. So we'll have to check out what's going on with him if we continue monitoring the same races. Another race that I thought was kind of interesting was New Hampshire. Well, this one isn't. This one is no. Wasn't New Hampshire. It was Florida's 27th district. Ileana Rose Lehtinen, who is a big she is kind of a weird looking person. You can see in this photo a Republican Cuban American. Yeah, she kind of has that cartoonish look about her. But she's in a district that's very heavily pro Democrat otherwise in national voting. And I think that you are going to have to wonder, can Trump kind of turn on the jets with the Cuban community? I don't know. I think that this district can be lost very easily to the Democrats, and I'll tell you why. This is one that I think it's good that I remembered this one, because the person running on the Democratic side is Donna Shalala, who I think was the Secretary of Health and Human Services for the Democrats under Clinton. And the person running against her is Maria Elvira Salazar. So I think that this will be a very interesting race. I think that if you're from Miami and you vote for somebody corrupt like Donna Shalala, who, by the way, that not just a Clinton cabinet member, I think she was like a very senior ranking member of the Clinton Foundation. So you're literally talking to somebody not just affiliated with the Clintons, but part of their corrupt scheme. Then yeah, I mean, what am I supposed to say? I don't really respect that. Now, Shalala only earned 14,000 votes in the primary, whereas Salazar earned 15,000. So there is some, at least, enthusiasm on their part. So she was the top vote getter of the major parties, and of course there were other Cuban representatives trying to do it. So you're going. It's really going to depend on the ground game among Cuban and other Hispanic immigrants in that area for the Republicans. Bizarrely, that, you know what? It's kind of it's hilarious, because typically it's the Democrats that play identity politics. I think this time it's going to have to be the Republicans, and it's really bizarre. But I think that if she can make the case that she's a better representative of the state than Donna Shalala, who was, by the way, Donna Shalala was the president of the University of Miami during, I think, their latest scandal. What was it, the scandal of hold on a second. So, University of Miami scandal. Football. So they've had so many scandals. It's almost like you know those calendars where you tear off a page. So they just have like a tear off a scandal calendar. Where was it? So yeah, the Nevin Shapiro scandal, and this was in 2011, and Shalala. So you know, she was at the head of a corrupt university and a corrupt foundation, and she's going to represent Miami in the U.S. Congress soon, based on what political prognosticators are saying. Now, I don't always believe in the reports of these organizations that they do the polling, but yeah, I think that given her power and I'm not one of these people that will say, oh, just believe and go out and vote or whatever. I definitely say go out and vote if you think that you can help your district. But look, she has the power of the entire DNC behind her, and her opponent. I don't think, I think President Trump, if he does not attempt to salvage the situation there, then it's really his fault if he loses the House, and then you get Donna Shalala representing Miami, this crone. But what are you going to do? People get to vote however they want, and it would really be a shame if the people of Miami voted in Donna Shalala. So then you have the New Jersey 3rd Congressional District, represented by Tom MacArthur, who's a bit, I think he's pretty well known for being one of the more centrist members of the Republican caucus. So Tom MacArthur is considered rather vulnerable. Now there are other districts that I could have picked, and maybe one day we'll revisit them. So if you think that there's a district that, oh yeah, that's definitely going to fall to the Democrats, yeah, maybe. I have no problem saying that these are just some of the ones that I thought would be good ones to analyze today. We could cover some other ones a different time. I don't have all the time in the world today. But the 3rd Congressional District voted for Trump in 2016, voted for Obama twice, voted for Bush. So it really is a middle of the road district. And yes, Tom MacArthur, I think, is going to have a hard sell to get reelected, but I think that he will pull it out. Let's see how he did, though, in the primaries and how, in general, they went. If he was opposed, though. So he's up against this Andrew Kim guy. I know you guys are really in suspense to see how it's going. So this is a little, it's slightly Republican leaning district. And in the election, MacArthur and Kim were both running unopposed, and they both received about 25,000 votes in MacArthur's case and 28,000 in Kim's case. So I don't know if that's a big enough sample to really say, oh, is this as competitive of a race as the media is making it? I do believe that the establishment Republicans will fight to keep MacArthur in the House, and one of the reasons that I see that, I don't really have anything against MacArthur. I probably wouldn't support him personally if he was up for election in my district, because from what I heard, he's one of the people who tried to get the what's it called, the Ryan Care passed back in 2017. The bootleg, shitty version of Obamacare, when they should have just repealed the whole thing. But here's my take. The establishment Republicans, if they lose too many seats in the House, a lot of those seats are not going to be the hardcore Trump Republicans, or the ones that are more amenable to working with Trump. A lot of the people that are going to lose House seats on the Republican side are actually the moderate ones. They're actually the ones who were centrist. So some of the people who were already primaried out were, I think there were only 2 Republicans that were primaried out, but one of them was Mark Sanford, who was a never Trumper from New York. From South Carolina. I don't know why I said New York. There was another one from North Carolina that was primaried out. So yeah, I think that in this case, let me show you. This was the Republican toss-up from 2016. These were all the ones that they said, oh, these could fall to the Democrats. Apparently, if I'm reading this correctly, none of them did fall to the Democrats. The Republicans swept every single one of them. In the lean Republican ones, the Republicans held all but one of them. In the likely Republican ones, they held all but one of them. In the Democratic toss-ups, also the Democratic. So these toss-up elections that people say, oh, these could swing. In reality, apparently the Democrats and the Republicans were able to hold in 2016. Then in the lean Democratic ones, it looks like 3 of them fell to, let me see here. Yeah, I think these were swing districts. So, okay. I know that Jolly lost. I know that Junta lost. I know that Hardy lost. So yeah, these were still really areas where nothing really changed. And then, of course, you had a couple of these districts that were Democratic that did fall to Republicans. So these are ones where really they do their best up until election day to say, oh, this is the one that's going to fall, and this is the one that's going to remain in the hands of the incumbent. It's not so easy. I think it is real. And by the way, I know that it's easy to beat up on these polling organizations and these political analysts, but think about it. I think there's 435 House districts. It's not very easy to keep track of all of them. You kind of have to canvass the entire country and figure out where you're going to invest the most analysis And I think it's kind of a testament to how complicated our system is. Some people say that it shouldn't be this way at all. They call it first past the post balloting. It's the same thing in England, in Great Britain as a whole. And some people would say, well, we should move towards proportional representation in the House. Now that might make it a little easier to determine from polling what's going to happen, but then remember the people that you elect kind of represent the entire country. They don't represent your district. So you do lose something in that configuration. So please let me know if you have a district that you'd like to cover here on this channel. I'm not here to tell you what's going to happen yet. The House, I think, is the most up in the air aspect of the election right now. Of course, I just did a video making fun of the New York gubernatorial election, which helmet hair Cuomo won. I think if you thought that was going to go another way, you were out of your fucking mind. That was an easy win just to call that Cuomo was going to win. I think I did predict it at one point. But a lot of people were basically bawling their lungs out trying to say, oh, Cynthia Nixon's going to win or whatever. No, statewide elections are a little easier to predict than our district elections, because then you kind of have to figure out whose district is this and whatever, and which towns are going to turn out. Much more difficult. That's about it. So let me know if you have any district you want me to cover once again. And please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the second channel, Razor Ray Live Wounds, which will be appearing at the end of the video. And also comment when this uploads. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a happy Friday.